Hey, we're back with John and Jesse. Jesse, the co-host of this Two Vets podcast called Full Kit No Plan. And today's guest is John Patrick, another fellow Army vet. Thank God we don't have to give him any crayons or anything like that today. So, anyway, John, introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hey everybody, John Patrick, Army veteran, 16 years, varying uh, Title 10, 32, 36, pretty much any kind of title of service I could do, I did. Like I said, retired Army, now in the finance game. So, and much like you guys being an ASVAB waiver, this whole technology thing, I'm swimming against the current, man.
Oh snap. Well, great introduction, bro. You lost me at 10 something something. I've been hit upside the head way too many times. So yeah. I gotta go back and do some research. Maybe someone out there can you know, jump in and let us know what that means. But apparently he did a shit ton of stuff, so we're about to find out what that looks like.
Oh, I ain't shit. I'm sorry if I misled you. I'm sorry if I misled you. I ain't shit. I'm just some fucking guy.
No, 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 no. No, don't say that. Don't say that. So, Jesse and I, we both served a tour in Afghanistan under the same banner up in Washington, Fort Lewis,
Okay, that's what's up.
Joint Base Lewis McChord, as it's known as of now. Um, and you know, Jesse, I'll let you speak up on your departure from the military and just a quick introduction, reintroduction after our Etch a Sketch situation here.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys know me, I'm Jesse. I did a stint from 2010, 2014, Fort Lewis, JBLM, what is called now. Like Aldo was saying, we served under the same company flag for deployment to Afghanistan in 2013. Um, yeah, and then I got out in 14, came home, and that's really when all the problems started. And that went on for 7 years or so. But now I'm back and good to go. Yeah.
He's flying out of this world, right? Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Watching otters
Apparently,
and
Jesse gets to hang out, drink coffee, and watch otters chilling in the water.
yeah,
Dude,
just
that's living,
just
bro.
snacking,
I
man.
don't know about you, John, but like I have to watch where I fucking put my feet at. I ain't trying to get bit by no fucking scorpion or stung by a scorpion or a freaking
Dude,
snake out here.
I'm not sure who lives in the wilderness more, you and I with our snakes and scorpions, or Jesse with his river otters or whatever kind of, I don't even know what he's got going on
Apparently,
over
they
there.
pick flowers for him, and he gets to chill while he's drinking his coffee.
Dude, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and there's no critters out here, man, that you got to worry about. No poisonous snakes, no poisonous spiders, nothing. I mean, you got
Nothing's
to
trying
worry
to
about
kill
the,
you?
huh?
Nothing's trying to kill you? Nothing.
I mean, there's like moose. If moose and bear. If you come across those are trying to kill you. But not intentionally. Usually, if they're just spooked or whatever.
Okay. All right.
Out here, I don't know
Yeah.
about you, John, but the desert bunnies, they try to kill you. Yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta watch out for them. They look so sweet until they're
Right.
not.
That's how they get you.
So, hey, tell us a little bit about you, John. Let
Yeah.
our audience know who you are, what it is you do. Um, outside of the military, we'll get into the military, back into it here in a little bit. But what do you do these days? You touched on it a little bit, finance, and what else?
Um, okay, so here's what happened is after I retired from the army, it was actually a medical retirement. So I didn't want to like just sit on the couch right away. So I became a federal security contractor where you make shitloads of money, but I kind of equate it to OnlyFans for women. It was like, yeah, you make good money, but you really should be ashamed of yourself. So I mean, after a couple of years of that, I kind of had my fill, and um, I just kind of took my boots off and was just a very angry guy for a very long time. And uh, through a course of like personal growth and self improvement, I I kind of wanted to set things up for my family so that if not if, but like when something happens to me, that the children in my family would be set up. So I started establishing a family trust, moving like rental properties into the trust, and all of that nerd stuff for estate planning, all of the life insurance policy, and I started setting all that up. The guy that was helping me, he's like, dude, you really know your stuff. Like, you know more about this than most people, like just Joe off the street. He's like, you should come work for us, come work with us. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I'm retired. I could just watch YouTube all day. Like, I don't. And he's like, come on. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do. So I went and got licensed in life and health insurance. So now I'm kind of um, I'm in finance. So I help families establish family trusts and then show them how to basically set up an estate plan so that their kids and grandkids kind of are set up for generations. So
That's what's up, man.
that's
Hey,
what's up. That's what I'm doing now.
and you know what? You got a really fun way to educate people. So throw your handle real quick so people know where to find you, because you do have a very interesting way to showcase what you do and educate people.
Okay, I'm on Instagram, the John Patrick Original. And so kind of to reference what you're talking about is I grew up in Southern California, and like everybody out there, it doesn't matter what nationality you are, everybody's at least this much Chicano. Like everybody is. So I kind of identify as the Irish Vato. So I mean, you kind of see how I'm dressed. I got my starch dickies and my flannel all the way up. So on my Instagram, there's John Patrick, the Irish Vato, and John Patrick, the finance bro, who's, suited up, tie, suit, the whole thing. And those two people are, those two personalities are having a conversation about finance, life, the whole thing. So that's kind of, I don't want to call it marketing because that sounds too, hey, come buy my product. But that's kind of how I kind of present my brand, so to speak, on social
I
media.
was gonna say that's your brand. That's definitely you. I
Yeah,
like the way you put that together. It's fun. It's
it's fun.
entertaining, and really, it's a good way to introduce people to the reality of life, right? Sometimes we don't freaking sit down. We're too busy like this, just trying to get through the grind, and many of us are
Yeah,
not prepared to think about later. We always push it off, but introducing a fun way to engage people, it makes a difference. So it's
absolutely.
cool to see you. It's cool to see you and your page and how you put yourself out there and what your brand
Appreciate
is
that, man.
about. So
Yeah, man, I checked it out, and the finance bro that's talking about I do it for I got to pay my scientists and all that. The second I started hearing those lines, man, I cracked right up. I could not stop laughing because I knew exactly where it was going. I was like, damn, this sounds familiar. And then it
Why
just
does this
started
sound
rolling. I was
familiar?
like, oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I try to make people laugh with those two guys, the finance bro and the Irish Vato. So yeah, it's a new thing I'm trying out, and so far I really like it. So you're gonna see a lot more of those two guys.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. It was great.
well, we do too, and everyone out there that's about to jump in and start watching, I'm sure they will as well.
All right, that's what's up. Grow that audience.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, I wanted to ask you a specific question.
Oh
You
shit.
know what? I'm gonna let Jesse jump in on there. He, you know, moderate this and take
Yeah,
care.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so because you were talking about how you jumped got out of the military and then went and started doing the stuff that you're doing now. And I'm curious, with your time in the military, like how did that shape your leadership moving into the civilian world and taking over and making that move?
Um, it's funny because and this might sound unpatriotic or whatever, but I I don't want the children of my family to feel like they have to join the military, right? So like unless Jesus Christ and the ghost of George Washington come to him and say, "We need you, mijo. You know, come on." I mean, that's the only reason I want them to join the military. So I'd like for my niece and my nephews and generations to come. I want them to have a clear, defined plan. So in my my leadership style, I don't think that answered your question at all, did it? That was weird. At any rate,
No, that's
So
all
you
right,
were-
man. That's all
yeah.
right. You know.
at any rate, my leadership style, like in my financial institution, my financial literacy training, it's my agency's not that big as of yet, so I really don't have subordinates or whatever, but it's definitely being, I think of being a good leader, first you have to be a good follower. And as such, I've kind of sought out other mentors, whether they were veterans or not, because I think as men we kind of hunger for that. We kind of hunger for some kind of male role model, father, big brother, uncle, or a business mentor to be like, hey, here's how to grow your brand. Here's how to get over your own internal bullshit, your own internal mindset. So
So
that's kind of what I see.
getting out of your own, your own head, right?
Your own headspace,
And
yeah.
removing that ego, so to speak, and speaking about mentorship and seeking that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, to become a leader, you got to be a follower first, right? You got to understand what it makes for people to reach deep down and understand what it takes to be that example, right? Because when you are that leader, people are always watching. So you were watching, you've been watching, right? And as you grow your business, you're gonna have them watching you 24/7, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's good. A lot of times what's that saying? There's too many chiefs, not enough
Yeah.
Indians,
Too many Chiefs, not enough
Yeah.
Indians, bro. Yeah.
I
but
remember on my second deployment, I had a squad leader. He wasn't even my squad leader. It was just he was in my platoon, but anyway, whatever. He comes to me, he's like, rah, 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 you got to get on Specialist Ramirez because he's showing up late to do motor stables or whatever. And I'm like, fuck that. I wish my other two Joes were like Ramirez, because Ramirez isn't, spending, an hour on smoke break. He's not in there talking to the parts girl. He's not, disappearing for coffee for 3 hours. He's comes in, checks the mission board, goes out, PMCS's the trucks, comes back, checks the mission board, boop, we're done. And I'm a big advocate of like, do your job, do what's like required, and then like if we have to be here from 9 to 5, we're doing something wrong. Like I'm here about do the job, do it right, do it correct, punch out. Because I'd rather go to the lake than be here doing bullshit. Be here, but that's just my leadership style. Like I'm about do the damn job. Let's get out.
getting stuff done,
Get done, man. Let's get down the road.
being efficient.
Yeah.
There's things to do. We got stuff to do for sure.
So I want to ask you, and I'm over here, trying to remember how to read, but one leadership principle that you picked up in the military that you would now apply in your professional or business life, anything that you would say that really, stood out to you during your time in grade and that you've carried over, I know for many of us, we we still get stuck on doing things a certain way when we've been in the military, especially when you've been in for a while, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't in that long, but it took me a while to understand how to navigate through the hard, stern way of doing things in the military and how to apply the good things that I learned in the military, right? Like discipline, responsibility, accountability, those kind of things. But for you, what principle would you say has stood out that you really, that really like you took on to this next step in your life?
That's a great question because do you remember that movie Napoleon Dynamite? Do you remember Uncle Rico?
Yeah.
The middle-aged guy
Yeah.
lived in the van, but he's still talking about his glory days as a high school football player.
Mhm.
You kind of see that a lot in the veteran community, where it's like, well, I was a ranger, I was a SEAL, I was a insert cool guy thing here, and it's like, bro, you're 45 years old. You haven't done shit with your life in 25 years. Like you have, hooray, thanks for being a ranger, thanks for being a SEAL, thanks for being, airborne and all of that. But it's like, what about being a dad now? What about being an entrepreneur? What about just being a good husband to your wife and a good father to your kids? But as far as like taking my military life and putting it into like a career, it's it's funny because like I don't know if it really plays on camera, but I was very angry. Like you could see the scowls just being hard all the time, right? And so like nobody wants to talk to a finance bro that looks like they're angry. So as from a mental health standpoint, again, kind of coming back to that, you kind of had to get over your own bullshit. If you're going to be successful in a civilian career or as an entrepreneur, you kind of like got to you know, let the sergeant die, take your boots off, let that person kind of disappear so that you could represent yourself from, this very angry, very violent, rootin' tootin' gunfighter to be like I said, being a happy, laughing, jovial, whatever, happy, being just a happy
Don't ask me,
dude.
bro. I'm ESL, okay?
But just stop being a grumpy asshole and be engage with people, and that's part of like building relationships and building. I
Letting
think
it
that's the
go and
hardest
being
thing
now,
is,
right?
yeah.
Hey, Jesse, what do you got to say about that?
Well, I'm curious because you said a lot about like just once you get out of the military, like being a good dad and being a good husband. And man, I went through two divorces and actually lost my children from
Oh
the
fuck.
state took them after I got back. I now have them, and
Good.
I'm doing great. And there's a lot of
Hell yeah.
things that I had to do personally to get to the position that I'm in today. Um, and
But you're
so I'm
doing it.
wondering, what's that?
But you're doing it, and that's my key point. Is like you could
Yeah, yeah,
either
yeah.
sit in it and be like, "Oh, poor me, the state took my kids," or you could be like, "Fuck that, I want my kids back." And so I'm proud of you. I'm impressed that you were able to do that. A lot of people can't. A lot of people just ruminate. So bravo, Jesse, for doing the damn thing. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, yeah,
Seriously.
for sure. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I mean, it wasn't overnight, man. It was 8 years of a downfall, and then another 2 years to get back up to where I am today.
That's
But
what's up.
um, I found along my way that there wasn't ways of doing it. It was a lot of the same stuff. You need to do this. You need to get your head right. You need to stop worrying about it. You said something, let that sergeant die, and that really hit me. That really stuck in my head because I'm curious. What are some ways that you were able to do that and make that transition going into a softer, more civilian world?
Um, you know what? Much like you, like I ruminated, and I was a very angry, and I was married for almost a year, like, and primarily because I was just a very angry dude.
Yeah.
Um, so it was one of those things where you just kind of, um, it was funny because like about 2 years, that's what it was. It took 2 years, and boom, I was rocketing back the other way. Like, no, fuck this. I'm not sitting in mud the rest of my life. I'm not going to do it. Um, and okay, I had moved away from Arizona, just kind of like get away from everyone I knew, get away from family, get away from everybody, and I moved to Texas. And it was about 2 years after my divorce. I was sitting there and I was like, I'm crying about, oh, poor me, you know, failed relationships. And the other voice in my head was like, you still crying about that? She left you 2 years ago. Like what? And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. Well, and then the oh poor me voice kept popping up, like, oh poor me, like your friend got blown in half. It's like, you still crying about that? You only knew that guy 6 months, and he died 15 years ago. Well, yeah, all right. You know what I'm saying? So like it was
Yeah.
almost like a domino. Like once the first one fell, and it was like, dude, like, acknowledge that you have that trauma, the failed marriage, the dead friend, acknowledge it, but then shift fire and fucking get over it. You're not the only one with a failed marriage. You're not the only one with dead friends. You're not the only one. Insert trauma here. And it was one of those things where it's like, you got to fucking figure it out, or no one's going to want to hang out with you. So it was like, business stuff aside, like, I wasn't even at that time, I wasn't an entrepreneur, but I was just some retired guy just smoking weed and watching YouTube. And it's like, okay, but am I going to be this? The pot smoking, mushroom eating YouTube watcher for the rest of my life? I'm only 38.
Forever,
I'm
right?
like, I'm only 38 for God's sakes, and I'm going to do
Yeah.
that for the rest of my life? What a loser. So I'm like, okay, I got to shift fire. I got to kind of make a plan for what I'm going to do next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And before you know it, holy shit. Like, do you remember the comic book character Punisher?
Yeah.
The stylized skull and like the teeth hanging down.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
One day I was brushing my teeth and I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and I see that my Punisher skull had an overbite. And I'm like, bro, if your Punisher shirt has an overbite, you got to tighten that shit up. So that was kind of one of the catalysts where it's like, you're a fat, depressed loser who just smokes weed all day. You've got to turn this ship around. So, yeah, it was just one of those things where I make a decision and, like I said, turn that ship around. So.
Hell yeah, man. I love that. I love
Awesome.
hearing stories like that because I mean, it hits home. It's right fucking there, bro. Like I know, not your experience, but I know the general gist of what it is you're talking about. And it's like we want to get out of the military and do all of these things, but there's no actual transition period provided by the US government. I don't know if you feel that same way or not, but it's like they fuck up our entire, sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous systems and then give you no building blocks when you get out. You're right. And like for me, so I turned to booze to try to fix all that and try to numb the nervous system, make it stop. And obviously, as many people listening here who have gone through the same type of thing know, like that just simply doesn't work. You run to the end of the tracks at some point. Um,
No.
and so I'm curious, like how did you actually in those early days, how did you make that change? Because like we say things like that, right? Like you got to shift fire and you got to make change, but like how actually did you? Like for me, I stumbled across like breathing techniques and meditation and that type of holistic style of life. And once I got through that and started like that first minute of sitting down and being with myself, like that led to doing it for 2 minutes, which led to 10, 20, I got up to like an hour, 2 hours of meditation time at a single
Word.
sitting. And there's no books on that. I mean, there are nowadays, but there wasn't where I was looking back then, So I'm curious, what were the things that actually were able to take that thought from the back of your head and put it into action?
It's funny you mentioned that because within the veteran community, it's almost like it's a big dick contest to who
Mm,
can flex the most trauma. Well, you only have 2 deployments. I've got 8 deployments. Oh,
for
you were
sure.
supply? Well, I was infantry. Where it's like, again, your trauma is your trauma. My trauma is my trauma. So at some point, you just kind of, like what it was for me, like I would find myself kind of just in bed, for 2, 3 days, having a little bit of, growth, starting to smell funky. And it's like, look at you. So I made a conscious effort of like, okay, today, even if you look disgusting, you're going to go outside and you're going to mow the backyard. That has to be done, or the front yard's getting out of compliance. You're going to get a fine from the city. So basically, go do a damn thing. Get up, go do a damn thing. And then before you know it, you're like, wow, now you're really disgusting. Now you got to go take a shower and shave. And just like that, you're like, holy shit, I'm a good looking son of a bitch. I'm going to go out and, go kind of strut my peacock feathers, so to speak, and let the ladies know what's up. But it 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 was a lot of get up, do a damn thing, whatever the thing is. Um, this was probably 2020. Um, I got over it by just getting up and learning a skill. I taught myself how to cook, so that was a fun thing to do. But I started going to, you mentioned the government doesn't have a whole lot of support, whatever. Like they have the vet center. And so I started going to the vet center, and it was, at first, I'm like, I started getting into the whole veteran mindset or the whole veteran kind of um, trauma flexing, like I mentioned earlier. But I started looking at the bulk of the circle was Vietnam era vets, and I'm seeing these guys now in their what they're in their 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, the army shit on me, the VA shit on me, the ex-wife shit on me. And as I'm looking around, I'm like, am I about to be this guy in another 25 years? Am I going to be this guy? Am I, or 30 years? I don't know. I'm not a math wizard. Like I basically saw myself in them in due time. And I'm like, I don't want to be this grumpy old granddad or this grumpy old guy who doesn't have a family, doesn't have anything. And I'm like, that sounds depressing as shit. Like wherever I'm at right now, that looks worse. And I see myself on that path. So it was a lot of not liking the route that I was on. And I tried the guided meditation. I tried the deprivation chambers, like the salt float tanks. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
those. And it wasn't really for me because my brain would squirrel away like it just kept swirling away. So I just found that just staying busy, and any time that I would something, war traumas or whatever would jump in my head, childhood traumas, whatever dark voice that would just kind of chirp in your ear, I just like, get fucked. I got a thing to do. I got to go mow the lawn. I got to go to the grocery store. I got to shave. And then whenever it does pop up and you realize, okay, childhood traumas, we're like, okay, well, lots of people have less than ideal childhoods. So I'm not that special, and it's
Well,
just kind of go ahead.
I guess I wanted to say, not to kind of minimize that, right? Because we don't want to live in that, like you said. It's not that you're not special. It's just that you realize that there's many others that have similar experiences that, perhaps by taking a different approach, a different mentality, you're able to at least reach out and seek for help, right? Because there's many others that might understand. So we are special. You are special, bro. Jesse's special. All of
Hell
you
yeah.
sons of guns are special, and that's why we're here, right? Galvanizing and creating this community where, yeah, we could talk about these issues, right? Where, what the fuck? But ultimately, success. We talked about, Jesse brought up peace is success, right?
Full on.
Any form of success, overcoming, just getting up, mowing the fucking lawn, that's a purpose. That you overcame that, and you started focusing on yourself slowly, one step at a time. That purpose grew and grew and grew, and now your bandwidth and your reach is stretching out over state lines. I'm assuming by your outreach, you're educating people. I mean, this doesn't sound like that guy, and that's what we're trying to push out.
Yeah, full
It's
on.
okay to be that, right? But that's not who we are.
Yeah,
It,
it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be a foster kid. It's okay to come from a broken home. It's okay to have failed marriages. It's okay to have terrible combat experiences. It's okay to have whatever happened to you, but that doesn't mean that that's you. You're a lot more than 1 year of combat. You're a lot more than a failed marriage. You're a lot more than that one flaw, that one little scratch in your paint. You're a lot more than that.
a tiny chink in the armor,
Yeah.
For
you
sure.
know.
A lot of times I think we can grab onto these identities and like you were saying with ego earlier, Aldo, like once you're locked onto that identity, that ego will fight tooth and nail to keep it. Like that's who we are. And if this dies, what am I after that? You know, and so talking with you and hearing like this amazing story of coming from one side to the other, like it just shows the ego can only hold us as long as we let it, you know. And that's really what I love about these conversations. I love taking away and hearing how other people are doing it. Because it can feel lonely out there, man. I don't know about you, but for me, it felt lonely for a long time. And you know, even when you are getting better, like who do you talk to about it? Right? Like there's not many veterans that are getting better and then going and talking about it. It's just kind of like you said, I get better, I'm moving on. There's other shit to do. We got all these things. So when you are getting better, who do you say, hey, I'm getting better, bro. Check this out. Do you have any other levels? Do you have like the next step in where I'm supposed to go? Because I don't have a fucking clue. I'm just now coming back to myself. Oftentimes the ego has just died, so I don't even know who the fuck I am anymore, right? Like, so
No, I'm
it
right
can
there
really
with
be.
you. It's funny because I don't know if it's a machismo thing or whatever, but the moment you start kind of, I don't want to say bragging, but kind of like showing off your success, where it's like, hey, I'm not a grumpy old gunfighter. I'm not a blown up old gunfighter anymore. And then somebody is going to be like, what, you think you're better than me? And it's like, no, it's not about being better than you, or I'm a better me. It's not like,
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like
I do.
it's
And,
it's great.
and you know what? We can reach those people. We
Full
can reach
on.
those people, right?
Yeah.
Because the second that we encounter those kind of folks, you know, and we were one, I was one, you
I
know,
was one.
even if I didn't
Yeah.
say it out loud, I was like, this motherfucker, like, who the fuck he thinks he is and shit, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever, you know, I'm like, But hey, what were we going through, right? What are they going through, you know? What kind of issues are they experiencing at the moment? Whether it's combat, whether it's military associated or not, right? Just a regular person in the world that's never experienced military or any of that situation, you know? We don't know what they've encountered that day. We don't know if they lost somebody. We don't know if they got shit canned from work. We don't know if they got cheated on or they just, you know, we don't know, right? But as we make this progression and who we are trying to develop, right? And outgrow into this new different version of ourselves, this avatar in this physical realm that we're in right now, like you can start picking up those pieces because we were there. We were there.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, if we're gonna be around the same circle around, how do I get to this person? You know, like
Yeah.
I needed somebody. I needed somebody. So, you know, can I be that somebody for someone else, you know?
That's
And again,
beautiful, man.
yeah, so we just got to be aware. We got to be in the moment.
Yeah, you know, and they'll point themselves out, man. The ones that are getting pissed off, like they're saying, "Hey, come help me," you know, because this is how I see it, right? Like if I, especially when it did happen, I don't see it like this because I think it. I witnessed this, and it's like I shattered that identity. I'm just a broke, drunk vet. This is what I'm going to be forever. I might as well go down and just sit on the bank with a bottle of wine. Right? That was my identity. And once I shattered that, the people around me were forced to have to look at their own identity and say, "Oh, wow, if he can do it, then why can't I?" And then that starts really making someone think, and then that's when they lash out. Or some people do. They'll lash out and say, "Well, no, fuck you. Like you do it, you know?" And it's like, "No, bro, you can do it too. Like we all can, you
Well, I'm
know?"
a bigger victim. No, I am. I'm a bigger
Right,
victim. Like,
right.
oh, okay. Look at
And
you.
exactly to your point earlier, John, right? And I think Jesse brought this up a while back, or it was actually our previous guest. Talked about, I think they mentioned about going back to like a get together, right, Jesse? A get together of their old platoon or company or something like that.
Okay.
And she didn't feel like she wanted to go back because she didn't want to associate with that, and she felt bad. She
Yeah,
was torn, but she didn't want to associate with that same, similar thing that you brought up about going and having this trauma measuring contest. Like you're there and you're like, man, who can flex on their biggest trauma? Like, why continue to associate? How can we create something different where we talk about finance, we talk about hanging out, eel catching and success, and building others up. Like we need to where do we find this? Where can we go? Is there somewhere in your area? Is there someone in John's area, organization around your area, Jesse? I mean, in my area, where can we do this? Find it, and then as we develop this podcast and we grow it, we provide these these safe places for us veterans, male, female, even the Marines, even the Marines.
Yeah, yeah.
No, to all of us, seriously, where we talk about success, where we help each other out, where we're there to, hey, network and help each other with their business, help each other with just day-to-day situations. Where can they go and get light, where they feel comfortable talking about the bullshit, and then we speak the same fucking language. The reality is, it could get dark, and sometimes we shun ourselves, we quiet. I'm speaking for myself, I also had the same mentality. I was a hard ass. Don't can no one fuck with me? I can do it all. I don't need nobody. I'll figure it the fuck out, and it cost me a shit ton, But um, as I'm trying to wiggle my way out, like I don't know if you guys remember watching Ace Ventura, uh, and he's coming out the fucking rhino's asshole. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure. I'm trying to squeeze my way out, and try to be a different Aldo, and how can I help others, right? And this is one way where we allow each other to, yes, speak on that past situation, what the fuck, we lived through, but how we come on the other side. And Jesse's working on some big things. He's been putting in work. He's changed his life. John, you're doing the same, right? You're a business owner as well. You're doing your stuff. You're teaching others, and I'm trying to catch up and do the same and bring others on board and create a real galvanizing community where, hey, you know what? Like, we can reach out to one another. I got questions about this, I'm thinking about that, whatever. Not just, hey, let's go have a fucking drink. So some asshole fucking, fucking cut me off at the light. I'm fucking pissed off. This week was a fucking tough week at work or whatever bullshit, and just keep sulking in that same bullshit. We need to get over that shit, and we can do it. And it takes people like ourselves, to lead
Yeah.
that, you know.
Yeah.
I still
And
catch myself every once in a while in traffic where I'm like, oh, I should do violence. But then I'm like, really? You're gonna wreck two families over not an accident? So I mean, I'm right there with you. Like it's sometimes it pops up, but you're yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, so I'll shut up.
definitely, dude, I'll jump in on that because I mean, it starts with self-love, right? And forgiveness, bro. Because
Yeah.
even still today, like I found myself last week doing the same thing. Someone cut me off, and I was like, "This motherfucker, dude!" And I'm like, "Whoa, hold on, let's calm down," And like, so it happens. I mean, shit like that creeps up, right? It's how we change that mentality to refocus and look at the situation in a different way.
So Jesse, what's one way when you wake up, and I'll go first, but what's one day that when you wake up and right, say your week's been tough, or something's tough's gonna happen, you gotta go out, spend a ton of time, be away from your kids for X amount of time, it's a tough day, right? Like, how do you prepare yourself, And I'll speak for myself real quick, as I know, uh, this week I was gonna have a tough week at work, just for example, this week I was gonna have a tough week at work, a ton of deadlines, compressed schedule, um, and a lot of responsibility on my hands. And so at night, I try to do a lot of meditation, a lot of breath work. I go outside and I reaffirm and I do a lot of affirmation and I just speak it out. I speak it out. I speak it out because before I didn't. I would just hold it in and be like, I'm gonna fucking deal with it. But now I'm not. And I'm very purposeful about even when I say it out loud, and again, everyone does it different, but what I do is I go outside, as I'm meditating and then I'm ready to open up and speak breath into the ether, I speak as what I'm gonna do. Tomorrow, this is gonna happen. At this time, I'm gonna be around this. I'm gonna be going here. This is what's gonna happen, and it's gonna work out. I'm gonna be prepared to handle it emotionally. If something doesn't go my way, and I speak myself into believing the best possible outcome, and then I go to bed. And in the morning, as soon as I wake up, the very first thing I do as I wake up, and unfortunately I need an alarm. So I wish one day I don't have to use an alarm, but I use an alarm and the very first thing I do is I speak it again internally and then I vocalize it. Hey, you know what? I'm grateful today. I woke up, I get to breathe. I'm gonna go tackle these responsibilities. I'm gonna go take care of my family. I'm gonna take care of myself in the best possible way. And I mean that. I speak positivity, and it comes from being grateful and living a grateful life. But that's how I prepare myself day in and day out. And it doesn't take long. It sounds like it takes a long time, but you're talking about a minute at night and a minute in the morning,
Yeah.
and it really sets the tone for how I'm gonna prepare myself to deal with some sideways situations, you know. And every day I get better. Every day I get better, just like you guys shared. I sometimes, you know, I used to, now I just kind of look blank and I'm like, they must be having a bad day. But it took me a while. It took me a while, you know, but
Yeah.
that's how I prepare myself. Jesse, you got anything you can share with everybody?
Yeah, man. I mean, to prepare for anything, bro, it starts with, for me, we are what we consume, and so I make sure that I'm taking in constant amount of water. My food is, good quality. I mean, it's hard these days, right, to get good quality nutritional food, but it's worth it. You got to get that shit out of your body. And that leads to better sleep. Like a lot of what you said as well, like the practicing gratitude and just being thankful, bro. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like we've all hit the lottery. We're here on Earth living out this experience, bro. We are the universe experiencing itself in real time. And I think that no matter what other than that happens, because they're all experiences, like we're all fucking winning, bro, you know? And so I really take that to heart, and I truly fucking believe that, dude. Even when I'm screaming at someone just last week, that's why 2 seconds later I'm laughing about it. I'm like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot, not them. Like, yeah, they did something, but I reacted, right? So it's clearly it was my lesson, not theirs. And just understanding that life is it's just a series of fucking games, man. And so when I wake up first thing in the morning, um, I mean, the second my feet hit the fucking floor, dude, they say the science says to do it within 5 minutes. I try to do it within two, but I go straight into a meditation for no less than 15 minutes. And I'm talking deep holotropic breathing, and I visualize the goals that I'm looking at, the future goals out in a year, what I want to happen today, everything I'm thankful for, like just raising that vibration within myself to as high as I possibly can. And from there, I try every day. I'm not as good as I used to be, but I go straight into the cold water, bro. Like you hit that cold water, and after that, like there's not much else, bro, that you can throw at me during the day that's gonna be fucking worse than that. Because that
And
never changes. Like the
uh,
the meditation, you get used to it. It becomes part of your routine. But even that cold water, bro, like it might be part of your routine, but at no point ever does my mind go, okay, this is what we're doing today. No, it goes, fucking, these are all the reasons why we don't need to, right? And I still got to fight it, and I still got to get past my own bullshit and get into that physical, that water. And then from there, the day is usually halfway decent at least. you
yeah.
know.
How about you, John? That's crazy. Yeah, I can't
So
do
I
it
gotta
like that.
ask, do you have like a cold water plunge, or do you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
head out to a river or some shit?
No, this motherfucker
In
goes to
the
hang out with the
wintertime, we
otters,
definitely
bro.
can. Yeah, in the wintertime. But I have a big 4x4 like plastic eel tank, and I just fill it up with water
I'm sorry,
and
did
it
you
stays
say
cold.
eel tank?
Yeah.
Oh, that's groovy, man. Um, um, but you know what's funny is that's actually something I need to work on still. Is I don't have that level of discipline of setting an alarm and making sure I get up at a specific time and doing the cold plunge. I wake up when I'm done sleeping, and then I immediately go in, shit shower, shave, brush my teeth, and as I'm in the after I shave in the shower, and then I crank that water as cold as it'll go, and I just weather it as long as I can.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that's not quite at your level with the cold plunge, but it's what I got right now. And then while I'm in that cold water, like I don't really think about it until I'm in the cold water, and that's kind of I use that cold water like shower to kind of okay, wake up. What are you doing today? Okay, I have an appointment at 9 o'clock. I gotta go. Oh shit, I'm cold. I gotta go to the tax office and submit the tax privilege. And then I run through all of my things that I have to do that day. Everything I have to, all of my appointments, all of the things that I want to accomplish. And then once I run through my list, including what time I'm going to eat, what I'm going to eat, okay, and then I shut it down. I get out and I brush my teeth and dry off and all that other stuff.
Damn, bro, that's gnarly.
No,
That's crazy to go through that whole list like that in the cold. Good for you.
what's funny is you're talking about a cold plunge, and I'm like, whoa, how low do those hang when you're like getting in that water, bro? I don't have what it takes. Get
Yeah,
into
but
an
I'm
ice
not
bath.
trying to think of nothing. I'm trying to clear everything out. You're jumping in that cold water and going, all right, boom, 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 and remembering it. Like, good for you, bro. There's no way I could do that.
Yeah, and that's my cue of like you have to weather this storm until you check, like run through your count. Granted, I don't have a lot of things on my calendar. Some of it might just be sometime today, go pick up the dry cleaning. Sometime today, go to the grocery store. You know, like whatever is on my list. But yeah, that's my cue of like, okay, once you get through your list and you finish up with, you know, your evening rituals, okay, now you can shut the water off and step out and dry off. So that's kind of my my plunge into the day, so to speak. My
Yeah.
get your mind right.
It sounds like, part of the success is being organized, right? Being disciplined
Gospel.
in some way, shape, or form, right? So, that's a good message to start wrapping this one up. But so for everyone out there, remember, step by step, break it down, break it down. What are you gonna do that day, and try to meet that goal. Even if it's just one thing, be disciplined about it. Put it in action. Journal it, whatever helps you, but be intentional with it because, as you guys heard, I mean, shoot, we got 3 people here just right now, and I'm sure there's a ton out there, right? We all have to get organized and we have to follow through. And
Gospel.
you have to be disciplined, but more than that, you have to be consistent with it. So, it doesn't have to be major things. It could just be waking up, making your bed, and having a good attitude, right? That takes a lot. It takes a
Yeah.
lot, but if you
Yeah,
can
some
do
days
that
that's
on a
everything, man.
consistent level,
Yeah.
you guys are hearing it from these fellows right here, successful military vets, and we're gonna have plenty more join us. But Jesse, you wanna have your closeout? Anything you wanna say or share with the community?
Um, yeah, just I mean, overall, it's the same stuff like you were saying, really. Discipline, man. You gotta really understand that future you is counting on you today. And every decision
Woo.
that you make, future you is really depending on you, bro. And you don't want to let him down. I can't say it any cleaner than that, man.
Did you just write that? Future
No, that was
you
just
is what'd you say? Future you is counting on you today?
yeah.
Dude,
That's
that
awesome,
needs to
bro.
be on a t-shirt, homie.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How about our guest today, John
Yeah.
Patrick?
Hey, thanks for
Thank you,
having me,
John, for
fellas.
coming.
Thanks for having me.
I
Hey, it was
appreciate
it
it,
was
man.
awesome you joining us. And just real quick, last time as we wrap it up, where can we find you? Where can people find you at?
John Patrick Original on Instagram.
The Irish Vato.
Go
That's what's
follow him. He's
up.
funny as fuck.
Yeah, you got to follow. All right, everybody. Appreciate it. Aldo here, as you guys know. Jesse, we're Two Vets podcast, full kit, no plan. We don't have a fucking plan. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how we roll.
Thanks for having me.
All right, man.